What is the gradient of L2 given that L1 and L2 are perpendicular? We may find the gradient of L2 by making use of any of the previous methods. So we can find the gradient of L2 by making use of the methods that were discussed on the previous audiovisuals. However, given that L1 and L2 are perpendicular, therefore the approach that we have to take here is based on the fact that the two lines are perpendicular, that is, L1 and L2 are perpendicular. We have the gradient of L1 from a previous slide, and we will make use of it, given that they are perpendicular. If two lines are perpendicular, then the product of their gradients is -1. Two lines are perpendicular, the product of their gradients is -1. What is the gradient of M1? M1 is the gradient of L1, and M2 is the gradient of L2. M1 is already known to be -1/2. That's the gradient of line 1, which is what? M1. It is already known. Eliminate -1/2 by multiplying by -2. Well, this might be maybe a little bit hard and fast for you, but if we are going to eliminate 1/2, it is good if we understand that we need to multiply by 2 in order that the 2's will cancel. And of course, if we multiply by -2, then negative times negative will be positive, and the negative sign will be eliminated from that left-hand side. That is our purpose of multiplying by a negative quantity, so that we have a negative times negative, and that will be positive. On the left-hand side, M2 will be in a positive term, like that. So M2 will be equal to -1 multiplied by -2. The -2 that we multiplied by is to eliminate the 2 that we are dividing by right here. Of course, negative times negative is positive, and that is why we choose to multiply by a -2. Therefore, we will have M2 is equal to -1 multiplied by -2, and that will give us a +2. M2 will be equal to 2, and that's all there is to it. What we have done there is to show the product of the two gradients, and the product will be equal to -1. Because the product is equal to -1, then we may go straight ahead and find M2, which is of course making M2 the subject of the formula. And that we have done. The result is M2 is equal to 2. On this occasion, we will write down the gradient of L1. The gradient of L1 is -1/2, and L2 is perpendicular to it. To find the gradient of a line that is perpendicular to it, all that we need to do is reciprocate and change its sign. That's all there is to it. We have the gradient of L1, L2 is perpendicular to it. All that we need to do to find the gradient of L2 is do the reciprocal and change its sign. So what is the reciprocal of -1/2? We will get -2, and this sign will be changed to positive, and we will do that in one step, one motion. Do the reciprocal and change the sign in one motion. Any number divided by 1 is equal to itself, and we do not need to write a positive sign for a positive number. That is equal to 2. So there we have it. The gradient of M2 is equal to 2. For access to hundreds of free videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Richard James Mathematics Resources. For unlimited access to thousands of exclusive full-length videos, please subscribe to our Vimeo channel, Richard James Mathematics Resources.